In this video, I'll be telling you what you should be picking for the birthday Bonanza boost picks that you can get every single day. Let's talk about it. Birthday Bonanza. Jeff, what do you want about? Well, Runescape is running a new event that pretty much has two forms of reward for you. One that is every day and one that's a permanent unlock with the hat that you can currently see on screen, which is available for all players. So even if you're free to play, Ironman or a main, you can get this hat by just interacting with the event and claiming the buffs. So these buffs that I'm talking about last for 2 hours and you get different buffs every single day, picking between combat, skilling and miscellaneous. Ironman and free-to-play players will not be getting these buffs, but they can get the cosmetic override by just claiming the buffs, but you just don't get a buff, if that makes sense. But every single day, you need to pick between a combat, skilling and miscellaneous buff that lasts for 2 hours of playtime, which is very important because let's say you play for an hour, you log out, and then you log in again, you still have an hour left. So it doesn't tick down whilst you're logged out, so you're not forced to play for 2 hours straight, because otherwise you would lose your buff pretty much. But every single day, you pick between a combat, skilling, and miscellaneous buffs, and I'll be telling you which I think are the best ones to pick for every single day, starting on the 8th. Edit to Chef coming in description, you'll be able to find timestamps for every single day. So you can come back to this video and get the day that you are looking for. If you're watching this video today, as of me releasing it on the 8th of January, you can choose between Devout, Efficiency Gatherer, and Infinite Ammunition. Devout is the combat one, which will give you no prayer drain, aka giving you infinite prayer. The skilling one gives you 20% in the gathering skills in resources. So for example, you have a 20% chance when you're doing woodcutting to get double logs, or 20% when you do mining to get double ores. So it's good if you go for skilling, but in miscellanea, you have infinite ammo with the infinite ammunition one for your cannon. So pretty much if you put something in your cannon, it will just infinitely just keep on going. And quite frankly, in my opinion, the Devout one is by far the best one. Even if you just AFK in combat like Abyssal Beast, you just don't have to pay attention to your prayers. It's literally infinite for about 2 hours of playtime, which is insane. You still need to obviously look at your other potions, but that is some good stuff in my opinion. I think that's by far the best one because 20% gathering is not that good because you probably won't make that much more money. And the miscellaneous one for infinite ammo in your cannon, it's only if you do Slayer, it's quite niche. Next up, on January 9th, it's Runic Focus, Ritualistic, and Acrobatics. Runic Focus will have no rune cost, but you only get 10% XP. So there's no point in abusing this by doing, for example, teleports at no cost, because you only get 10% XP compared to normal. So I don't think it's really that great. Next up is Ritualistic, which will give you 50% ritual output. So instead of getting 10 resources, you will get 15. I guess it's okay, but rituals are not that great money to begin with, and you don't get any additional experience either. So in my opinion, no point. And that kind of leaves us to Acrobatic, which gives Search a 4.8 second cooldown versus 20 seconds. So if you're doing something like clues or anything that really requires you to have Search, this is incredible, and I think this is by far the best one, but overall, they're quite lackluster. The 10th of January is Energetic, Kleptomaniac, and Eagle's Apprentice, or Agile's Apprentice. I don't really know how I pronounce his name. Energetic will give you 1% extra adrenaline, but that doesn't stack with the relic Fury of the Small. So if you're using Fury of the Smalls, you're used to it. It's pretty much that relic, but you can just unlock it for 2 hours, and it doesn't stack with it, so it's not that great for PVM, but if you don't want to use Fury of the Smalls and try out some other relics, I guess you can do so for 2 hours. Next up is Kleptomaniac, which will give you no pickpocketing fail, which would be useful for elves if you're going for hard or elite clues, or I guess for ham members as well if you're doing easy clues, but probably if you have 99 thieving, it doesn't really matter anyway because you don't fail. And Eagle's Apprentice is 200% artisan reputation, so you pretty much get triple artisan reputation. So I guess none of them are really that great, and that really just depends on your playstyle. I would probably go for the no pickpocketing one, because quite frankly, it's good experience. Like, it's good experience for about 2 hours if you want to train some thieving. Obviously, this works on literally everything, so even if you want to do Crocs and Knights, which is the best experience in the game, you can get a free 2 million experience by just doing nothing, which is quite nice. I don't think Energetic and Eagle's Apprentice are worth unless you really need those for whatever reason. Next up, on the 11th is High Metabolism, Meticulous, and Lunar Prodigy. High Metabolism pretty much gives you double healing from any form of food or potions. So that one is really, really powerful. And if you're PVMing, I would pretty much pick this anyway over any of the other ones. This is probably one of the more powerful buffs in general throughout this entire event. So definitely pick that one. But if you're not a PVMer, Meticulous gives you pretty much a double experience effect for archaeology. So you get double gather rate and 50% chance of getting resources. It's good if you do archaeology. Besides that, not really. And Lunar Prodigy is very niche if you're going for completion escape and you want to get your lunar reputation up because you need to get livid farm points. You get 300% points versus the normal 100%. So you pretty much get triple points for doing your livid farm. I guess it's nice if you're going for completion escape and you want to knock that out. It's like one of your last requirements, but I would just recommend you buying the livid plant anyway, the traveling merchant, and pretty much 0 time this requirement. On the 12th, you have Killer Contracts, Metalwork Mastery, 3 times the charm. With Killer Contracts, you get double Reaper and Slayer points, and you get a free pick for your Reaper task, so the Reaper's Choice, that you have unlocked, but you have it guaranteed. And for Slayer, you pretty much have the VIP ticket, so you can choose between 2 tasks permanently, and it will not consume any of your VIP tickets. So that's very powerful, especially if you want to farm some Reaper points, use some Reaper resets, pick some tasks, and the same with Slayer points. If you want to farm some, this is probably the best point to do so, because you could just pick very easy and nice tasks. Metalwork Mastery is no heat/stamina decrease or during mining and smithing. So pretty much when you're mining, you can just AFK, you don't need any buffs or whatever, you will just always be at 100% stamina, doing the most damage and pretty much being the most efficient at mining. And with smithing as well, you can just AFK for 2 hours. When it comes to just creating anything, you better be at 100% heat, which obviously the most efficient to smith something. And 3 times the charm is all the charms being tripled, besides Arc Laser, in any circumstance. So for example, you do next, instead of getting 20 charms, you'll get 60 charms. So if you need charms for summoning, I would highly suggest you picking this. But out of all of them, I think that Killer Contracts is probably the best, especially Reaper points, meaning money in the sense of these Hydrixes. So I probably would go for Killer Contracts, but another great one in my opinion is 3 times the charm. Next up, on the 13th, you have Death's Favor, Windfall, and Trailblazer. Death's Favor is no death cost, which is always nice, but I don't think it's that special. We have events for it and whatever. Windfall, however, I think is the best one out of the 3, because it gives you rares while skilling, or it gives you rare items while skilling. And I kind of think that it's probably some sort of Grace of the Elves effect, but then just passively without Grace of the Elves. I don't know if they stack. They didn't really clarify anything in the update block, but I'm assuming it's pretty much Grace of the Elves, where you just get this floating thing, and you get just a rare item or a something of the rare drop table, and maybe you get a Hazemir Signet Ring. Who knows? And Trailblazer gives you double Treasure Hunter points, so if you're going for that outfit, it's definitely worth it. I would pick that over Windfall, but if you don't care about clues or just the outfit, I would 100% pick Windfall in this category. On the 14th, you have Hazelmere's Blessing, Boon of the Artisan, and Passive Regeneration. Honestly, Hazelmere's Blessing is by far the best one. Boon of the Artisan gives you 20% chance to save resources while doing artisan skills, or 20% chance to get double resource while doing something like herbal or runecrafting, which is good, I guess. And Passive Regeneration just has faster regeneration when you're outside of combat, so it's meh. But Hazelmere's Blessing gives you 5% chance to double your loot whilst PVMing. So if you're lucky, you can double some very pog items. So I would 100% always pick that if you do PVM or if you're on this tier. There's like no question. This goes for the 21st as well, because the 21st is the exact same buffs as today, so on the 14th. So pick Hazelmere's Blessing again. So you pretty much have 4 hours of that buff, which is insane, and it's probably gonna crash the market just a little bit. Next up, on the 15th, we have Runic Focus, Oracle, and Ashes to Ashes. Runic Focus, obviously we spoke about it before, it's a no rune cost, but 10% experience. Oracle is double resource from Divination, so when you gather it, but also when you throw it in. I don't know if that actually is with experience as well, it didn't clarify, but if it is, pretty much double experience at Divination. And Ashes to Ashes is noted Ashes drops, which I guess is nice for money making. I don't know if there's still any Ashes that are really expensive, or just Ashes in general, but if you have to pick one of them, Probably Ashes to Ashes. I think that today, the 15th, is very underwhelming. So I would be... This one is really up to you, in my opinion. The 16th, Devout returns with the Infinite Prayer. Ritualistic with the 50% ritual output. And Tree Shaker with triple chance of bird nests. Which, if you need the Candle Hatchet, I would highly recommend getting the Tree Shaker. That will pretty much save you about 6 hours to get it. Although... that means if you get lucky within the 2 hours that it's active, but it will save you a couple of hours for getting the Candle Hatchet if you don't have it yet. But besides that, probably Devout, because Infinite Prayer, that's really, really powerful. On the 17th, we have High Metabolism again with the double healing, Meticulous with the Archaeology double experience effect, and Soul Catcher, which is triple soul catch rate when you use a Shopti. So if you know what the Slayer Codex is for Trim Completionist, this is going to be really, really good for you, especially on the more difficult, higher tier monsters. I would recommend you doing it. But even if you want to fill up your Slayer dungeon, for example, because you don't have Abyssal Beast yet, probably worth doing as well. In those 2 hours, there's a very high chance that with this triple soul catch rate, you'll be able to get all the souls you need for your Slayer dungeon. So even though High Metabolism is very powerful, it only lasts for 2 hours. Those souls will last you forever. So I would probably recommend going for Soul Catcher if you want to fill up your Slayer dungeon or if you want to fill up the Slayer Codex for your Trim Completion Escape. But if you don't care about either of them, I would say go for High Metabolism. On the 18th, it's Trail Seeker, Windfall returns again, and Acrobatics as well. Trail Seeker is no decrease in Slayer counter, which is a very niche one, but it can be very powerful because the Slayer Helm buff is 20% damage, and certain monsters do help with the Slayer Helm buff. For example, if you have a dinosaur task, if you do the dinosaur bosses, it will give you a 20% damage and accuracy increase just for free. So I guess it's nice if you do any Slayer related content for it. And if you want to just farm one task indefinitely because experience, for example, even if you get Abyssal Beast, for example, or Abyssal Creatures, and you go to Abyssal Beast, you get 20% more damage and accuracy whilst doing them for 20 or for 2 hours, which is really, really powerful. And yet again, I think it's a good one. Windfall, yet again, it's rares while skilling. And Acrobatics is the search with 20 seconds to 4.8 seconds. If you're a cluer, definitely pick Acrobatics. Windfall, I guess, I don't know. But I think Thrill Seeker is really good, especially if you pair it with like a good task. Whether it's going to a certain boss like AVNCs for Armadale, or if you want to just AFK some combat and just get some little bit more experience in an hour, then you pick your Abyssal Beast. On the 19th, you have Energetic, again with the 1% extra Adrenaline that doesn't stack with your Relic. Metalwork Mastery, which doesn't have your heat and stamina decrease whilst you're doing mining and smithing. And 3 times the Charm again with triple charms from everything besides Arc Laser. Honestly, I would just pick triple the Charm because charms are useful. Yet again, if you already have 120, it's your pick. But I think out of all of them, if you don't have any of these requirements, go 3 times the Charm. On the 20th, we have Dev's Favor, which is no dev cost. Efficient Gatherer, which is 20% gather rate. And Trailblazer for the double clue points. Honestly, very underwhelming. Doesn't really matter. Really depends on your playstyle. I don't think there's one that's really just sticking out that's very powerful. So this one is really up to you. And as I said before, the 21st is Hazelmere's Blessing again, Boon of the Artisan, and Passive Regeneration, where the Hazelmere's Blessing obviously gives you a 5% chance to double your loot, and I would always recommend you using this. So yeah, that is all the boosts and buffs that is during this event. I put timestamps down below as well, which I'll probably put at the start of the video because then people actually know it instead of saying it now. So you can just skip through it and just come back to this video whenever you need to be able to check out today and whatever I said about today. So yeah, I hope this was useful. It's a bit of a longer video. If you did enjoy it, consider giving it a like, subscribe if you're new, and my name's Chevalric. See you guys in my next video.